Good evening and welcome to another live broadcast with Green TV and the Pat Foundation. Tonight I'm very excited to introduce a very special guest, Leon McQuade, who has an interesting day job and even more interesting, well, I'm not going to steal his thunder, we shall talk more about that in a bit. So you're in for a good treat tonight, so keep listening. So Leon, today, what a scorcher. You're from my neck of the woods, so you're up here in East Yorkshire. We can say Hull, can't we? Hull, as they say. I'm from Beverley, so I'm slightly, but it's been absolutely lovely today. What have you been up to?
Just busy, Gail. Just everything's busy at the moment as we start plugging back in. But the ANDYSMANCLUB, one of the hats I wear, we just won a Queen's Award, which is pretty cool for the for all the volunteers there for all the work we're doing, which is fantastic. Wow. And then our own business, Think Cloud, we're growing, so we're just moving into new offices today. So the world's starting to plug back into it. It's a bit crazy at the moment, isn't it?
God, how exciting time! So where's your new office?
So we're based at the Deep, but we've just taken a much larger offices because we're growing rapidly at the minute. So we need more people, more space.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. And this Queen's Award, I mean, obviously we'll talk a little bit more about ANDYSMANCLUB because that's a massively important subject. But this Queen's Award, so you've been doing ANDYSMANCLUB for how long?
I think it started, we're just about to our fifth year, our fifth birthday. I think it's next month. And I think to sort of give everyone a sort of context around that, the idea was to have sort of 5 clubs in 5 years. Right. We're just about to open. I think it's our 54th club next week.
Wow,
which is crazy,
Wow.
So yeah, it's just going from strength to strength because there's a massive need. And I know mental health is close to your heart, Gail. We've spoke off air, a lot around it, and more needs to be done because I think the scary stat when I got involved in ANDYSMANCLUB, 1 man every 2 hours takes their own life in the UK, and that was prior to COVID. That stat's only rising. So ANDYSMANCLUB sets out to we want no family to experience the death caused by suicide. So we're there on a Monday night, 7:00. Anyone can just turn up and speak about the mental health. So it's a fantastic organisation and one that's really close to my heart.
It's just growing from strength to strength. It's lovely watching it. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, obviously, I'm involved with the veterans and sort of mental health that side, but it's men across the board, and I've been each week and more on social media, saying this whole it's cheesy Bob Hoskins, it's good to talk thing, but men don't open up like women do. Women, we've got a problem, we're straight on the phone, and men aren't encouraged, whether it's in the veteran world or it's in civilian life. It's kind of it's even in childhood, stiff upper lip, you fall over, oh don't cry, you're fine, don't be weak, it's deemed as a sign of weakness. So ANDYSMANCLUB, isn't, it's actually a lifesaver. Some of the guys we've had on the shows in previous weeks have just literally, had they not spoken out, would have gone down that dark path. And I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I know COVID has highlighted a lot during, obviously, in terms of mental health side. In fact, they closed the Humber Bridge at one point because people were just jumping off it. Was you aware of that?
Yeah, I think the big challenge is, I think it's always been there. It's been a bit more of a taboo. So it's been going on for a long time. I think what we're starting to do is we're starting to hear more about it. But I think COVID just highlighted that because people have been more isolated, and it has been a big challenge. But there's an interesting point you make there about it being classed as weakness. I think what we say at ANDYSMANCLUB, we say exactly the opposite of that. And I think what inspires me to do the work we did when we set up Hull. Hull went from 6 of us to we had over 80 men there. And to sort of give you an idea of how big Hull is, for example, just the Hull ANDYSMANCLUB, we've got one at the Echo Centre, we've got one on North Hull, we've got one at the Hull FC Academy. So we've got multiple. We've got one in Beverley, just set up in your own neck of the woods as well. Yeah. We've got Bridlington, Scarborough. So there's a huge need there. But I think for me, what really struck home with me, I'm now a trustee, and seeing the guys walk through the door for the first time, I think it's one of the most courageous things anyone can do. I agree. They're taking accountability for their own mental health. Like we all have mental health, don't we? And then I think, the vulnerable, and when we're vulnerable, I think we take the power away from that, the fear of being weak, but weakness, burden, and embarrassment are the main ones. But Andy's Man Club is about bringing everyone together, getting them problems off your chest, and trying to work through it. Because if we don't, and men notoriously don't speak, but I think that's changing now. I think that's changing, Gail. I think we were talking off there, weren't we? Multiple times we had conversations. I think what it means to be a man and also a woman in the modern world is changing. Job roles are changing. Women are becoming the main breadwinners in some relationships, and the whole dynamic is changing. So I think that's a bit of a challenge for men and women to get their head round. And again, we're not taught these life skills, are we, Gail? At school, we're not taught what does it actually mean to be a man. What does it actually mean to be a woman? And I think we're starting to see that sort of change in society now, because it is changing it out there.
You're absolutely right. I mean, social media has been a massive tool. I think you either love it or you hate it. People moan, but it's been so beneficial. I mean, for example, how would you get that message across? Through use Facebook, use various forums to get that message across. And if more and more people go into Andy's Man Club and talk about it and share their experiences. It's about communication. It is the massive key. It's just getting that word out there, and it's actually saving lives. I saw a post, and you'll probably be able to quote me on this. I think it was on LinkedIn, and it was actual greeting cards from Andy's Man Club, and they were saying, sending a fellow friend, you're doing a great job, and I mean, that's unheard of, really, for men to do gestures like that. But it's this whole caring and sharing and communicating it's becoming more of a universal language, and it's been more acceptable. I think I've said it on previous shows, a strong man to me is a guy that will show emotions, will communicate, and will help himself out. Am I on the right path there?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that what you're alluding to there is, obviously, if we cast ourselves back prior to COVID, I think we had about 20 clubs. So in the last 12 months, we've opened about 35 clubs. So we're growing at a colossal rate through COVID. But I think some sort of key bits what you've sort of seen happen is we've sort of come together and looked at the problem that we're solving. But the areas that you'll be talking about there is we signed at some big deals actually with Hallmark cards. Yeah. So we've got we've come up with our own range of cards that are going out to they're available in every single Tesco's at the moment. And we've also just signed a really good deal with Britvic, so they're our hydration partners. Because on a Monday night we make sure we've always got a mug of tea or a coffee, or we've got some fantastic beverages now from Britvic who are supporting us as well. So and that's been a challenge, because obviously Andy's Man Club didn't stop. So the interesting fact, which you might not know. So my own company, Think Club, we support all their IT. We do less digital strategy. That's where I specialise really on the board of trustees. And I originally got involved to give it IT. I never originally got involved to run a club. It's just that when I first went over to Halifax, I got told there was a massive problem in our region and would I set up a club in Hull. And they didn't really want the technology back then. So I set up a Andy's Man Club in Hull, and we went from 6 of us to 80 of us in a matter of not a long time. And the governance and things that needed to be involved, I started feeding that back, and that's when I became a trustee. Now, interestingly, when lockdown came, if you look at the model what is Andy's Man Club, across the country at 7 o'clock, anyone can turn up at Andy's Man Club unannounced, and you go in, it's the same format, the same 5 questions, the same. So the idea being is no matter where you go, it's the same experience, right? Mm-hmm. When the lockdown came, and I remember it being on the Thursday, we all got locked down, didn't we? And then from that Monday, we couldn't operate. Now, what happened with Andy's Man Club, obviously, we couldn't do face-to-face meetings in the first lockdown. It's complete lockdown. Yeah, but what we was able to do was digitally transform Andy's Man Club and move it all online. So we was able to put training in place. And I think we only missed one Monday night. So we missed one night, and then we took all groups online. Put training across all the 250 facilitators, and how brilliant the rest is history. We've used technology to really drive the charity, but then I would like to say it's nice that we've been able to get back in front of people. So, but again, it's opened up new opportunities, and it's a bit like what you mentioned at the start of this. People either love social media or hate it. I'd go a step back because I class myself as a technology evangelist, and what that means is, Gail, is I just love technology because I'm dyslexic myself. So a lot of things I've achieved in business and through the charity and other things, if I didn't have technology, I won't be able to do it. And I think that the big challenge we've got is, I'm sure you'll watch like the social dilemma and the different things like that. Is technology is not the problem. Technology is a tool, and we have to take ownership and accountability. And I think that's what we're starting to see a bit more. So you're seeing the likes of Apple are trying to bring out new controls, but on the same note, they're all as bad as each other. So we have to take responsibility as humans ourselves, don't we? And
totally. It's about accountability. It's like Facebook, if you're going to sit there and post, how many times you go to the toilet and what you've had to eat, and I mean, what are you actually, sort of putting out there? If you use it as a way of getting a good message across to the masses. I mean, COVID for me was a massive, obviously it wasn't a good thing, don't get me wrong, but being locked down gave me that time and effort to do the social media side, and I grew a YouTube channel from it. It was, I mean, that literally was, obviously the idea was to do good and get a message and help people and reach out and have that communications, but it's how you use it, and you can get addicted, and you just kind of have to say, right, these are my specific times, this is the goal I want to use it for, and you don't use it to take over your life. I mean, that is absolutely brilliant that through, and you probably found that men will probably like to log on in the comfort of their own home and have that online. Sometimes they might find it hard to go to places, so doing that through COVID is absolutely brilliant. And I know you guys do it on a volunteer basis as well, as do I with my charity work. So it's about helping, and it's about making that difference to everybody. So Leon, tell me more about your day job then. So you've just said you like your IT. Obviously, I've had many. I think that was probably how we first met many moons ago. It was probably Airco. And I don't know if you're remembering, it was a business like networking. And it was literally, when you go to these events and you sort of stand around. And I think we got introduced. I'm Leon. I'm from, I think you'd said from IT Solutions, or I don't know if it was called something different back then. I'm not sure.
So I'll give you a sort of 2-minute sort of background. So ThinkCloud, give you an understanding of ThinkCloud. So ThinkCloud was founded, I think it's close to 18 years now. We're 18 years old. I became a 50% shareholder of it nearly 3 years ago now. And I had a different business prior to that, where I had an IT business that merged and acquired. We did a merger and acquisition into ThinkCloud. But prior to that, I was in construction for many years. So I scaled a very successful construction business from 3 million to 15 million in quite a short period of time. Working with global brands such as, you name a global brand, we was working with it. And I think I scaled that business through the use of technology. And I used to consult into my business partner now, Scott, used to have a business called ThinkCloud, used to be called Virtual Networking. So I used to consult into them, and basically, I didn't know. I used to be quite ashamed that I had dyslexia. I never used to tell anybody. So when I was running this large organisation, I never told anybody that I had dyslexia. So I used to talk into my computer. I used to have like a dictation app, and I used to have all these software solutions around me, because there was a lot of things I couldn't do. And when we roll that forward, and I've got Andy's Man Club to sort of thank around this. I set up Andy's Man Club. We was growing Andy's Man Club. I just thought that I really want to change businesses. I want to make a difference through technology. It's helped me for years. So I exited one business that I was a shareholder of, and then my other business I had, we merged it and acquired into ThinkCloud. And ultimately what we've done is we used to traditional IT support around your Microsoft products, but I specialise in a product called Google Workspace. So we're able to offer like full support on both platforms, impartial really. So there's not a lot of companies who are doing that, and it's what's right for your organisation. So we help schools, we help businesses. We've got quite a lot of businesses who we support, and ultimately what we do is we help companies collaborate and communicate better. So if you look at the challenge Andy's Man Club had, for example, their complete operating strategy and model, because of COVID, was stopped. We was able to deploy a lot of technology solutions and train over 250 people in a week, and get them back communicating and saving lives in the space of 7 days. So when you use technology for the right purpose, it can do amazing things. So I'm a massive fan, as you can probably tell, of technology. I absolutely love it.
No, I'm on the same page. I mean, the work you do is fascinating, and we've had talks in the past over that, and it's one of those. I'm a mum, so I'll say to my kids, tea time, put your phones down, and it's deemed a bad thing, technology, but then in some kids during lockdown would not have survived without technology. They had the virtual classrooms, they continued with the work, so. It's how it's as you say, it's how you use it. That's basic. That's the key here in all this. So I'm going to move subjects just a little bit. So obviously, nature's very close to my heart, and through COVID, it was kind of a lifesaver and a godsend. In terms of boosting that mental health, and whether it's planting trees for the veterans or walking. Or running. Well, saying running, I'm getting a little bit older now, so it's a little harder to do. But we discovered through Pat Foundation, the Green Task Force, a lady that helps. Well, we discovered forest bathing. So it's come to array. I've seen a couple of your posts. I think there was a gentleman in Hull that you'd partake in that. So I've spoken about forest bathing before, and it's not, viewers, it's not stripping off in the woods with your towel or in any sort of bathtub. That's kind of a bit of a joke really about it. It's just immersing yourself in nature. It takes 20 minutes. Faith Douglas, who is running a programme with the veterans at the moment, I've read her books, listened to and it's absolutely fascinating, because they actually secrete these aromatherapy oils that actually make you feel better. So as a man, and obviously, how did you benefit from that? You've gone on several walks now, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've known about that for years.
What was his name? Sorry.
I got with a guy called Paul Spence from Paul for Brain, and Paul Longley from Think Mental Health. And I read a study years ago around forest bathing. It's Japan where it comes from, where they've done a big research, haven't they? And I'm trying to find the name of it. Well, I'll find the name for you in a minute. But
it begins with S, I think. Yes, an actual name.
Yeah, and I think the key with it is, I think it's super simple. There's a lot of health benefits that are proven once we get out in nature, but you only have to look at. I've been a huge fan of it from. I studied a lot of people about productivity, and you only have to look back. Let's look at the greatest minds out there. Einstein. So let's take Einstein. Now, he solved a lot of his problems. I don't know if you know this, Gail, but he used to go out on a little boat on one of the lakes, and he was really bad at sailing, and he used to often have to get rescued. And a lot of people don't know that about Einstein, but the reason he did it was because he was out in that lake, and also surrounded by trees as well, and some of the routes he went, he was able to free up his mind, his subconscious mind, and a lot of the problems he was able to solve after he'd been out in nature. You look at the greatest people like Steve Jobs and all of them. There's a long list of really successful, great thinkers who actually understood the power of actually. If you look at, let's take Steve Jobs for example, right? It was actually quite a big. You could call him like a bit of a hippie, a bit of a. I don't like using the word slob, but a bit sort of. Just go with the flow. Yeah. He plays Bob Dylan records, go bare feet, and just get back with nature and just recenter himself. And a lot, look at the legacy that guy left. So I think for me, I always feel re-energized. And like I said, I'm obviously big into tech. But I have a little holiday home over on the East Coast. I'm always there every weekend. I'm always getting off. As much as I love tech, I get off tech. I go off grid.
It can't be your whole life, can it?
Yeah, and it's about recharging. And there's nothing better than being in the forest, is there?
No, absolutely not. I mean, land or sea, to be fair. I mean, obviously, I love being in nature, and it's the smell, you can just lose yourself. I don't know, what it is, and you're right. I've had some brilliant ideas. If ever I'm stuck for, shows or any sort of inspiration, I'm lucky. I live near the Beverley Westwood. Obviously, it's a nice woodland, and it's 5 minutes for me walking out there, and I come back and I'm buzzing, and I've got these ideas, and simultaneously with the sea. I have an affinity, whether it's because I'm a water sign, I don't know, but I have an affinity with the sea, and the amount of big decisions or things I've had to clear away that, that I don't want in my head, and just release them to the cosmos. It just kind of makes you feel, it puts things into perspective, makes you realise you get so consumed in work, in your kids, in life, in, paying bills. It just kind of, you get immersed in it. So it's nice just to do that, and breathing, and, just the simple things, I think, in life. And I think that's what's been helping the guys with the mental health.
Yeah, I think I found the name. It's called Shinrin Yoku. And
that's the one. Did you Google it? Oh, good for you.
No, I've got the note from when I put the post up, and it basically says it's forest bathing. But the key
I knew
bit
it began with S.
Yeah, and the key bit is the plants give off. It basically increases your NK cells, so natural killer cells, basically, and it's proven to do it. But the key is as well, if you ever go for a stroll in the woods, I challenge anyone to this. You turn your phone off, and you just got to try and just stop and just look at the nature. Just go look at a leaf, look at a set of ants.
You have to listen.
Yeah.
Listen to the birds, and I do it. I do my 20 minutes religiously, and even in the rain, I've done it. Just to smell the rain, and just it's brilliant. It's what keeps me chirpy out there. I've had this a lot. How do you keep positive during COVID? And it's there you go. It's the forest bathing. So Leon, before we close the end of the show, I'd just like you to tell us a little bit more about you. So other than the getting out in nature, what else do you like to do in your spare time?
So I've got a 10-year-old daughter, Evie, and I've also got a little boy, Blake, who's 8, and I've obviously got a beautiful wife, Zoe.
So no free time then?
Yeah, no free time. So, I'm always I like to play computer games with Blake. He plays rugby, so we're always at the rugby. My daughter dances, and then whenever we can, every Friday we're over at the coast in our second home, and what we try and do there as a family is get off technology, play board games, and just stuff. And we've even got a TV there that's where we've got to actually wait for programs to come on. So the Masked Singer. They can't pause it. Yeah, they can't pause it. We've got to sit there and wait for it, and it sort of just reminds me when I was a kid, and I think that's what we've got to really do as parents now and as people. Try and reconnect. I remember having to watch Bullseye on a Sunday night, and they'd be like, I'd get the bathwater, fourth in line.
I liked Catchphrase. It was Catchphrase, and Saturday morning was Gladiators, wasn't it? It was like you always watch the Gladiators.
Yeah, so exactly that. So very much a family guy. We've also got 2 cats and a dog as well, a Labradoodle. So we've got a full-on, thing. And then obviously got the Man Club. So the Man Club keeps us busy. We've got loads of friends in that, and then on top of that, I've got a business, and then I'm a suicide prevention lead for the Humber Coast and Vale.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that, because obviously we've been doing some work with yourselves on that, and I think we're going to talk on the show on Monday briefly, aren't we? So tell me a bit more about that and what that entails, Leon.
So again, that's really how I got involved with bringing you guys in with the Pat Foundation. So it's a fantastic role in terms of I work with Joe Kent. I'm the chair of the men's task and finish group, and what that allows me to do is, obviously from the networks I've built up from ANDYSMANCLUB and the difference we're making there, I'm able to bring other charity organisations together. We have one meeting every month, and I bring all different organisations together with the view under Public Health England of how can we what's needed out there. So there's loads of charity organisations doing some fantastic work, and my role is real simple: to bring people together. And look how we can solve problems together using the different services that are out there. And again, that's voluntary work that I do in terms of leading that task and finish group for Public Health England. But again, it's what I'm real passionate about, because again, I love solving problems. I just love solving problems. I love people. Me and you've spoken about this at length, and I have a real passion for people. And I think I
understand that.
Yeah, and I think if you've got great people, you can solve some amazing problems. And I don't think there's there's not a bigger problem than people taking their own lives, and we've got to do more to solve it. And enough will never be enough, and we've got to do more and more. So it's something that I'm really passionate about, and I'm really passionate about being from Hull and East Yorkshire. So I'm always trying to fly the flag, because we've got some amazing people in this region, and we've got some amazing services, haven't we?
Yes, it's very underestimated. We're kind of at the end of the M62 corridor. It's kind of forgotten, but it's thriving, and there's loads of productivity and work going ahead. It's I'm with you on that as a champion for the East Ride of Yorkshire. So, well, thanks ever so much, Leon. It's been absolutely brilliant having you on the show. There's we'll post links on here on, if anybody's watching this that wants to get in touch with Andy's Man Club. I mean, what's the best way to do that?
So we've got a website, www.andysmanclub.co.uk. You can find us on Facebook, and you can find out where they all are. And then also, if anyone's interested, we have a podcast called The Hack. I'll share some links out with that. I always do a weekly podcast, sharing different tips around leadership, business, technology. But it's more around explain how we can use technology to change lives and do some amazing stuff. So you can find out there, and then also Think Cloud. You can check out think-cloud.co.uk and find out what was there.
Oh, perfect. So all of the social media, so quite easy accessible, because you'll get people, some out there that are tech phobes and don't like. So just keep it simple. That's sort of the best way, isn't it? So
yeah, exactly that.
All right. So what's the plans for the rest of the evening?
So I'm just going to go. I think I'm going to try and catch a nice brew in the garden, watch the sunset, and just chill out, take the dog for a walk, and just dust myself down, because it's been a long week, and it's a short week this week, so you always work a little bit harder to try and catch up.
Exactly, and you'll probably be like me, trying to juggle work, business, and the kids, because they've been off this week. So it's trying to fit in time with them, because time is precious, obviously, with them. So yes, I shall probably do the same. I think we're gonna put a movie on tonight, because we've just snuggle up with some sweets and that kind of thing when the sun goes down. So yes, well, thanks ever so much again, Leon, for coming on to the show.
No, thanks for having me on the show, Gail. It's been a pleasure.
Massive congratulations for your award from the Queen. That's absolutely brilliant work. I know you don't do it for that rewards. I know you don't. You do it, because you're passionate. But it's nice to get that recognition. And
I think it's just nice for all the volunteers as well. It just gives everyone a pat on the back, doesn't it?
Exactly. You must be very, very proud, and be very proud of yourself. So watch this space. Leon will be, you're all over social media, you're a bit like me. And if anybody needs any IT services, check out. He's a master at what he does. So, right, thanks ever so much for joining us.
Cheers, Gail.
I'll say goodbye tonight, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.